Lake Erie is the fourth largest Great Lake by surface area and the most shallow of the Great Lakes. It provides drinking water to over 11 million people, processes millions of gallons of wastewater, and it provides habitat for countless wildlife. It also has a large economic value as it brings in millions of dollars from its recreational fishery and through tourism. However, this is all threatened by the presence of harmful algal blooms. To show the extent of Lake Erie's algal blooms, turn your attention to this photo taken in June 2011 by NOAA. And now look at this second photo taken in October of the same year. You can clearly see the vast extent these algal blooms can reach while causing drastic environmental and economical damage. Harmful algal blooms are an increasingly important economical and environmental issue that scientists have taken on the task to address. I'm Chris Maier, and this is Algal Bloom or Doom. When talking about harmful algal blooms, there are many questions that need to be asked. What are they? How do they occur? And what can we do? Let's start with the first question. Harmful algal blooms, or HABs, are blooms of cyanobacteria that can potentially contain toxins that are a risk to human and wildlife health. The occurrence of HABs can cause fish kills and foul water conditions along shorelines. They also pose a large threat to human health. In New York alone, there were 228 hospital visits due to overexposure to HABs from 2008 to 2014. Due to the large risk to human and environmental health, it is important to understand how harmful algal blooms can occur. Harmful algal blooms will form during periods of high light conditions and elevated levels of phosphorus within the water body. Phosphorus entering the water from agricultural and urban runoff, as well as leaking septic systems, can result in an environment where algae can flourish. Dressnid mussels also selectively filter feed algae out of the water column while not feeding on cyanobacteria. This further increases the chance of harmful algal blooms to occur. In order to combat harmful algal blooms, nutrient runoff must be limited. This can be done by things such as decreasing the use of fertilizers in agriculture and for private use on people's lawns, and updating septic systems to prevent any seepage into groundwater. Now that we have looked at how HABs form, let's look at the different types of HABs. Red tides are blooms of dinoflagellates. These species contain photosynthetic pigments that are brown to red in color, giving the red tides their name. Red tides are caused in part by the upwelling of nutrients from the sea floor during storm events. Bright green blooms in freshwater systems are blooms of cyanobacteria, formerly referred to as blue-green algae. Similarly to red tides, when severe enough, cyanobacteria blooms can become a risk to human health. Human exposure to HABs can have many adverse effects on health. Common symptoms to overexposure to HABs include nausea, skin irritation, and even severe respiratory issues. Therefore, when dealing with algal blooms, limit all contact with open skin and wear proper protective gear such as gloves. Algae blooms are not only a risk to human health, as pets are also susceptible to their health risks. So it's important to never let one's pet swim or drink in water that has HABs in it. HABs are not only a threat to human and domestic pet health, but also to the health of the environment. This is because algal blooms can result in hypoxic water conditions, creating dead zones in water bodies where there is not enough oxygen for organisms to survive. Dead zones are formed by the respiration of bacteria that feed on algae after the blooms die. This depletes the oxygen in the benthic region, creating hypoxic conditions. With all the harmful effects HABs can have, it is important to ask how you can help. When you suspect that a water body has HABs in it, report it to your local or state natural resource agency. If you are ever collecting water samples to see if a water body has HABs, make sure to wear the proper protective gear such as gloves and limit all open contact with your skin. Cooperation between concerned citizens and local or state agencies is the most effective way to combat HABs. It is also important to educate the uninformed on the risks and causes of HABs in freshwater bodies. If actions such as these are taken, the risks we face from HABs could lower and result in an overall healthier environment.